What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today I have some exciting new content for you guys. As promised, I've got the PBA power rankings coming to you guys. This is week 1. Obviously, the tour season is coming up. It is right upon us. As of this video coming out, it's probably going to be starting about tomorrow. So this week we got the Players Championship. The boys out there are going to be bowling at Bolero North Rock Lanes down there in Wichita, Kansas. They're bowling on, I believe, the Wayne Webb pattern, which is 38 feet. So it's going to be really exciting first to see how the urethane balls match up, because I know there's going to be a few of them going down the lanes, especially for the higher rev guys. So we'll see how all those IQ78Us go, those new blues, and I don't know if it's been announced yet, but I'm going to say it anyways, the Pearl Black, the Black Pearl Hammer. You could expect a lot of those to be going down the lanes this week, but we'll find out. I just want to say thank you guys all for supporting the channel and all the heartfelt messages on the last, or I guess 2 videos ago. The support means a lot to me, but let's get right into these power rankings. I'm going to start way at the top at number 1. There's probably 2 guys you can go with for 1A, 1B. I could put 1A, 1B, but that's not exciting for you guys. But number 1, give me Anthony Simonson at number 1. I know I might get a lot of flack in the comments for this one. Feel free to argue down below. I'll be arguing back. But I'm going to tell you why I'm picking Anthony Simonson. So last year, he attained an average of 225, just about, maybe a little more for all of last year, which is pretty ridiculous. As you know, didn't miss a top 10 all year, which is also one of the crazier stats that I have personally ever seen. Just personal opinion, no personal bias. I'm great friends with both EJ and Simo, but I think he's the best bowler in the world. I think he's been the best bowler in the world for the last 2 years. Has had 2 straight years where he very well could have won Player of the Year and just didn't, just because, 2 years ago, Belmo had his big year where he won 5 times. And then last year, obviously, EJ had a wonderful season, winning 5 times in 2 majors as well. But Simo in the last 2 years has won 3 majors, 2 Masters, and a US Open. And I think this year he is poised to win another major, maybe 2. And he's my way too early prediction for Player of the Year this year. Probably the most tenacious bowler out there. When they say that they got that dog, he is that dog. Simo is the dog out there. And he is my number 1 pick for the power rankings for the Players Championship. And on top of all that, he did win our 1 event in Wichita last year. So that is why I'm putting him at number 1. But number 2, you could probably guess, Eddie Dean Tackett, EJ Tackett. And I'm going to tell you why I put him down number 2 as opposed to number 1. So there's a little bit more unknown with EJ, just becoming a brand new father. Congratulations to you. Looking forward to meeting the little guy, but we'll see how that affects his psyche. It could motivate him. It could, distract him. Who knows? But he's got that. And last year in Wichita was, I think, his worst finish, either his worst or his second worst. It was 1 of 2 events that I beat him at. So there's that. I just think Simo has a little bit more of a chip on his shoulder, perhaps. Again, personal opinion, I just think he's a little bit better all around. And not taking anything away from EJ, I think he's fantastic, obviously. And when he has a look and he's in the right mindset, he's one of those guys that he's just not going to be beat. So if he gets into one of those rhythms, he could lead this tournament again, and then, it's a 1-game match in the end. So you never know what's going to happen. But I got EJ at number 2. Last year, averaged 227. Also pretty ridiculous. Can't really go wrong with EJ or Simo number 1. So that's just where I got him. But let's move on to number 3. We have Jason Belmonte. Last year averaging just over 220 and picked up a victory there at the Tournament of Champions. Some could say it's a down year for him. Personally, I'd have been pretty happy. But I guess that's just the difference between he and I. But number 3, pretty obvious, Jason Belmonte. Can't really have him outside of the top 3 unless he starts bowling real bad this week. So, during a major, long format, he's going to be in play. And around that 38, 39 foot mark, he's historically been pretty good. So expect him to try this IQ78U and then eventually bend the whole lane. And when there's 24 games of match play, he's just kind of got that edge. And also a fun fact, ever since he won his first Player of the Year, he has not won one after he didn't win one. So last year, obviously, EJ won Player of the Year. Trend would say Belmo would win a Player of the Year, but my personal pick again, Anthony Simonson. But history says Belmo should win this one. Number 4, it's gonna feel like a little bit of a homer pick to you guys, but I wholeheartedly believe Chris Vives, number 4. I have him as the 4th best player in the world. I've been watching very closely, obviously, for the last year or so, and especially these last couple months, he's really rounding into form, really putting it together mentally. He's been patient, not getting too down on himself, and the longer the format is, the better he is. He's another one of those guys that's just gonna be there in a long format. 24 games of match play. If he makes it there, he's gonna figure it out. Expect him to be in the running for Player of the Year this year. I also predict he'll win at least one time this year. As I said, he's putting it together. Last year, 3 major shows with a bit of a slow start in the beginning. So I expect him to be very good this year. Moving on. At number 5, I have Dom Barrett. Averaged .217 last year, didn't pick up a title, but had a couple of second place finishes as well as a handful of top 4s, I believe. Also won the last major that was held in Wichita, the 2018 US Open. So he has good pedigree and a little bit of a good vibe there at North Rock. I expect him to be very good this week. And another one of those guys, long format, very patient. He'll figure it out. He'll be there in match play. Could make a run at the show. After that, number 6, I've got the Fro. Kyle Troup, averaged .216 last year and won the PBA Tour Finals, I believe, last year, which was our season-ending event. The accumulation of the last 2 years' points, he ended up winning that. And the 2021 Players Champion. Sometimes that could really motivate you, just knowing that you're a past champion of an event. This is the Players Championship. A little bit of, I would say, an underwhelming year for Kyle. I'm sure he expected a lot more from himself, and I expect him to bring the heat this year. I believe he did change into grips, was dealing with a little bit of a maybe wrist or forearm issue with his previous fit. So I know at the end of last year he was experimenting a little bit. So I would imagine he is comfortable with where he's at with his balls right now. So we should see him being able to do some few different things on the lanes, and I expect him to be very good this year as well. Nothing too surprising there. Kyle Troup at number 6. But number 7, we have defending Players Champion, Kevin McCune. Is it a little high for him? Some might say yes. I like him at number 7. The defending champion for the Players Championship. His first time defending a title. It could motivate him to keep that title. For some people, it's a little too much pressure. But he's one of those guys that looks like he doesn't even feel pressure. I love his disposition, his demeanor. Doesn't get too up, doesn't get too down, and he can do everything on the lane. He can play the twig, he can hook it, he can throw it halfway down the lane, he can throw it 37 miles an hour. I like Kevin McCune. I'm buying all the Kevin McCune stock in the world. Big fan of Kevin McCune, and that's why I have him at number 7 for this week's Players Championship. Number 8, maybe not a pick you guys were gonna expect here, number 8, but I've got Sam Cooley, averaged just under .217 last year and picked up a title and also had a second place, I believe, last year. But the reason why I'm putting him this high is he just switched companies. He went from 900 Global to Motive, which I think is a great move for him. He's got that heavy hand, low tilt, which I think really favors those Motive balls. A ball roll quite similar to AJ Johnson, but with a lot more rev rate. I think he's going to really enjoy the shape that those balls give him. And he's one of those guys that does well when he bowls with a chip on his shoulder. And whenever you switch companies, especially going from the Storm brand to a different brand, a lot of people are going to talk. They're going to say, hey, that's a terrible decision. But Sam's going to go out there and he's going to try and prove everybody wrong. He's got that chip on his shoulder, like he said. And I think he's going to do very well this week. So Sam Cooley at number 8. But at number 9, I've got Bill ONeal, the 2020 Players Champion. Somebody you probably didn't hear a lot from last year, other than him throwing 14 pounds, but he's back to 15 pounds. Started off a little slow in the beginning of the season with those 14 pounds, but in his last 6 events, notched all top 20s and came in the top 3 at the Players Championship last year. Just another guy you expect in the long format to be there. He'll figure it out. And just a big Bill ONeal fan, and I think he'll do very well. But rounding out our top 10, our first left-hander, Pyke Hanan. Obviously picked up 2 titles last year. Obviously this year doesn't have the purple hammer. But from what I'm hearing, this new one is pretty all right for him. As I'm making this video, he's currently bowling team trials, and I think he's doing okay. So I think he's gonna be just fine, and he's the one lefty I feel like does pretty well with reactive. Just his combination of ball speed, how forward he is, and his rev rate. They all kind of match up to where he can kind of do whatever he wants with either urethane, which was the purple hammer, or reactive ball. But Pyke Hanan to round out my top 10 power rankings for week 1 of the Players Championship. And here we have our left field pick of the week from our very own J-Rag. Where you at? You need a mic. I'm gonna stick this one. What are you doing? Oh God.
Kyle Sherman.
I apologize for the loud audio. Kyle Sherman, okay. Not what he said he was gonna say at the beginning, before I started filming. But Kyle, much love coming to you from TV Bowl and Supply. I hope you're doing well. There you have it. This week's Players Championship Power Rankings. I'm excited to bring you guys these week in and week out. Expect another one before the US Open in a couple weeks. We'll see how this week turns out. Feel free to argue in the comments down below with me. I'm gonna get at all you guys. See you guys in the next one. Peace.